Fearless leader, forerunner, champion of civil rights, we pause to celebrate and remember the important contributions you've made over the past 50 years.
I boarded the Atlantic Coastline Railroad at DeLand, Florida, and on that train heading to Tallahassee was Bill Holland. I met him first right there at DeLand Junction, as we called it. We went to Jacksonville, transferred over to Seaboard Railroad, and went to Tallahassee. It was at Tallahassee that we ended up being in the very same classes, and we began to know each other very, very well. We had to go out of the state of Florida in order to go to law school. Though we were black, that's the way we had to do. That's why he decided to go to Boston University Law School, and I ended up going to Brooklyn Law School in New York.
Bill Holland was the very first African-American black lawyer who started practicing here in Palm Beach County. And that was in 1953, in February of 1953.
West Palm Beach was possibly the most segregated city in the state of Florida. At least it was the most segregated one that I had lived in or had any knowledge of. Because, for example, blacks has a area in which they were allowed to live, to work, and to have businesses. In other words, that there was a ordinance in the city of West Palm Beach that was passed some years ago, which established the lines of demarcation or the area in where black people could live or to have businesses. And the same thing that also applied to white people having business in the black community. So that was quite a limitation. I knew that the only way that this was going to change, you had to do it through the courts. Because from the Civil War up until 1964, the court, the various government legislative bodies did absolutely nothing. When I came here, it was very difficult for black Americans to come from the airport, be transported from the airport to their destination in the county or in the city. They could come, but the people who held the franchises, that is the cab companies that held franchises for bringing passengers in from the airport, were not allowed to bring blacks into the city or into the county. So it meant that black people who would be transported from cities like New York, Chicago, and elsewhere, come into the city of West Palm Beach, they had to wait out at the city for a number of hours before they could get a transportation in. Many times people would spend more hours coming from the airport to the destination than coming from the original point of origin to West Palm Beach. We went to the county commission who issues these franchises to these companies and asked them to change the situation because people came into West Palm Beach, they wanted to go to the destination, and therefore they couldn't. So we asked the city at the county commission would they change that policy. So they voluntarily changed it back about 1954 or something about that time. They changed the policy.
He took cases that were unpopular. I'm reminded of the golf case that he took, and I don't think Bill even played golf. But he was just concerned with the rights of those who wanted to play golf.
We pretty much had a schedule of how we wanted to proceed so we can reach certain milestones and bring about the total enjoyment of all citizens of all facilities in the community. We felt that the golf course would be the first thing that we would do because of the fact it affected a smaller group of people, and then more or less the people who were using golf facilities was a little bit more educated, and we feel that they would reason a little bit better than the average person. So we decided that we would bring a suit against the city of West Palm Beach, who had a golf facility out on Forest Hill Boulevard, which was a West Palm Beach municipal golf course. in the places like Birdine's, which was the big department store in West Palm Beach, you could buy clothes in there, garments and things of that nature, but you couldn't try them on. You weren't allowed to try them on. You'd have to guess your size and hope that it would fit. Otherwise, you couldn't purchase it at all. If you were going to buy a suit, for example, and you wore a certain size, you couldn't take it in. Or you were to buy a dress, you couldn't try it on. So you were limited. You had to take it out. And in addition to that, the facilities that they had in these stores, like the restaurants, couldn't use the restaurant. There were some places you couldn't even use the elevators. There was only one cemetery in the city that was the city cemetery that was open, and that was open to everyone except blacks. So we found that we knew that was true, so we decided to ask the city commission to integrate it.
It was difficult for the African American lawyer to even think about making a decent living during that time. And most of the time, like Bill Holland and my late brother and all of us who were involved in civil rights litigation would have to pay the court costs out of our pocket. We had to pay and defray their own costs.
The first 25 years it was from hand to mouth. You know, there was no money made at all at that time. Matter of fact, I guess that's the reason I'm still practicing, because the first 25 years I actually contribute everything my time, my talent, and what little funds I had to trying to reach the goals that we had set. The last 25 years I'm trying to live, and I'm trying to make up for those first 25. So it hasn't ever been lucrative at all.
In the case of N. Ray Seymour, the firm of Holland and Smith made groundbreaking law in the area of trusts. The Supreme Court of Florida agreed with their position that trusts should go for the benefit of the beneficiary as opposed to the estate. Holland's most significant accomplishment involves the integration of the Palm Beach County school system.
I knew at all times in talking with him that he had in his heart that there was something that he wished to do. He just did not like what was really happening in the school system. There was the black school, and there were white schools, and he felt, and I also felt, that the education that was being expended, it was good with the black school. However, there should not be two different school systems, and he felt that he should do something about it. And I was with him 100% when it came to that. We tried with the school system to get some of our black friends to allow us to use them and their child to try the school system out to see whether or not they would accept a black person into school. And I knew it was going to be a hard thing to do. People shook their head, and I knew the reason why. They did not wish to lose their job, because they felt if they did that, they would lose their job. Working in the kitchen, washing the clothes, or what have you. So I asked Bill, what are we going to do about it? And he said, I have my son Billy. Billy was going up to be 6 years old at the time. He's 5 years something. He said, I will use him. And he did.
But I was certainly impressed with his taking the school suit, and when he couldn't get clients to be plaintiffs, party plaintiffs in the school suit, he decided to use his own children and moved out into an area where he could qualify for that. And so that was quite impressive to me, because here's a guy who couldn't get anybody else to do it. He says, well, I'll do it myself.
We went to the school, this is Northbury Elementary School in West Palm Beach, to be allowed to be enter the school and become a student there. And we were denied the right to do so. And that gave us the case and conflict that we needed to go into federal court.
I drove to the federal court down in Miami and filed the lawsuit. That was the beginning. Holland built a new home in there on 17th Street. And what the school board did was to gerrymander the line. Instead of it going down 17th Street, down the middle of the street, they took, when they got to his property line, went south to the alleyway and went around his house and then back out into the street.
I was one of the first students to integrate, to desegregate Lake Worth High School, and it was through that endeavor that I met him. My first memory of actually meeting him was during his visit to my home. He was quite amiable, extremely, personable, very motivational. He spoke to me about the challenge that I would have to surmount, in essence, being a representative for the students who had applied, and those particularly who were not able to be accepted because they were only choosing 2 students from the lot. The first day was a good day, and I felt good about that. But I thought numerous times during the day that whatever would happen, that I would do my best to contend with it, because I knew that Attorney Holland had gone through quite a bit to have this to happen, and it would make a profound impact and basically enable others to be able to attend the school as well.
I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate Bill on 50 years of service. He certainly is a fine lawyer and a fine individual, and perhaps we would be a lot farther behind if it weren't for William Meredith Holland.
He should be appreciated by everyone in Palm Beach County, that basically what happened with him should be taught in our schools. It should be a part permanently of Palm Beach County history, the history of Florida, because he, one man at a time when things were extremely difficult, stood up and accepted a challenge. I would say to him that I am forever grateful, and that the impact that he has had on my life and the life of so many people in this county should not go unnoticed, and I will never let it be forgotten.
He has always supported every good cause in the community, and he will always support every good and positive cause in the community, and especially those causes that may enhance the rights of mankind. He's that kind of person, and I am very happy to have known Bill, and he has certainly made this community, this state, and this country a better place in which to live for all people.
He took on a lot of controversial cases and perhaps paid quite a price for it, as those people who are prone to step out front and be leaders, very seldom do they reap the rewards and benefits of their efforts. There are those of us who come along behind them who are reaping the efforts and benefits of their hard work.
I just want the people to appreciate what we've done, and I mean we, and I mean it's a big bill with a lot of people, and just not think us, because I don't care about being thinking, but just grasp the opportunities, grasp of what we were doing is making the battlefield even, so that at least you have an opportunity to use your mind, and grasp the opportunities that have been open to you. You see, a lot of time we don't do that. We just want to make life easier for them, but we don't want them to feel that things have to be handed to them. They have to earn it. and let's have an equal opportunity. That's the most important thing.